25 years, Shanti. How would you measure it? How, in terms of duration, or in terms of content, or
In terms of qualifications, even in terms of qualification, Geshe qualification is much way above than our regular PhD. But PhD studies is the most intense study in our regular world. So people can imagine how difficult your studies are.
yeah,
It's
because
even more
it's
difficult
a
than.
problem that you're also dealing with. Just returned from a meeting with some University of Mysore faculty members. So we have a collaboration program with the university, and so there's one program which is already underway, undergraduate program. So we get a BA from University of Mysore. But the course curriculum is designed and finalized by us in the monastery. So we kind of all did some modifications to the course curriculum a little bit for those who enroll in the program to fit the curriculum requirements of the university. So BA, we're kind of giving a BA for somebody who would be in the 8th year or 9th year, or almost 10th year of his studies in the Geshe Studies program. And then we're also planning to introduce a master's program here. So after the BA degree, so another 2 years. So that would be, so we, some of you are familiar with the Geshe Studies program that we have here. So the first 3 years are preparatory. We study mostly logic and introductory topics like mind and mental factors. And we get you introduced to the art of dialectics or argumentation, structured argumentation. And then the next 7 years, we do a course called Paramita, where we discuss or study the milestones, the various milestones that we need to hit on the path to Buddhahood. So that's a total of 10 years. So at the end of those 10 years, we get the BA degree. That's the benchmark right now. So now we are struggling where we should introduce the cutoff in terms of duration for the MA program and then for the PhD program. So we've tried to kind of introduce those programs also. Anyway, so that is just a digression. So there's no standard as of now to decide the equivalence between a regular PhD program and the Geshe Studies program. We keep saying that it's the equivalent of a PhD program. In terms of duration, it seems to be much longer. In terms of commitment, also much longer. Of course, there's a different structure to the studies that you do in a regular university to do a PhD. So we're going trying to get some of that into our this affiliate program that we have with the University of Mysore. Okay, anyways, so let's start with a short visualization meditation. So like we do for the sessions on Saturday, we'll do a short Shakyamuni Buddha visualization meditation. If you want to use some other tool to do your visualization, please feel free to do it. We generally use the image of Shakyamuni Buddha. I'll guide you through the different aspects of that image, and then you can focus, try and mentally visualize that image. So let's do that. Shanti, can you turn on the sharing? Okay, so posture is important. Make sure that your back is erect, shoulders straight, and arms relaxed. If you're sitting on the floor cross-legged, full lotus Padmasana would be ideal. but if not, then you can do a regular Sukhasana. Keep your left arm, right palm in your left palm, and the thumbs, the tip of the thumbs touching each other. The tip of the tongue then resting just behind the upper row of teeth, and chin slightly tucked in. Eyes either half open or fully closed. So just take a moment to clear away all the thoughts about your routine from your mind, and just try and bring it to the subject that we're going to discuss today, which is on death and impermanence. So we've already discussed a few things on uh, the concept of impermanence. Uh, and we also discussed things like how human life is precious. So, if possible, just recollect some of that discussion and let your mind slowly settle into the discussion for the session today. And then visualize in the space in front of you at the level of your forehead, about 2 meters in front of you, a large golden throne adorned with all kinds of precious stones and jewels, supported at the four corners by a pair of snow lions at each corner, signifying the four fearlessnesses that characterize the state of omniscience. And on this throne is a fully blossomed lotus. The lotus signifies the holy body and the holy mind of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, unstained by the defilements of samsara. On the lotus is the sun disk, signifying the wisdom or the clear light aspect of the state of enlightenment. And on the sun disk is the moon disk, signifying the illusory body of an enlightened being. So the sun disk and the moon disk together signify the union of the clear light, wisdom, and the illusory body, characterizing the state of enlightenment. And the Buddha seated on these discs, on these seats, signifies that he's attained this union of clear light and the illusory body. So the lotus, the sun disk, and the moon disk also could signify the three principal aspects of the path to enlightenment, which are renunciation, altruistic intention, and correct view. So seated on this throne is Shakyamuni Buddha, who has perfected all the realizations and cleared away, eliminated, abandoned all the obscurations and afflictions. He embodies the omniscient mind of all the Buddhas. And is indivisible with our root guru. He shows us the path to enlightenment. And directs his compassion towards all sentient beings. So Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, his body is made of golden yellow light, and his body is very radiant and marvelous. He wears the three robes of a fully ordained bhikshu. His face is beautiful and radiant, and he has a loving smile on his face. His eyes are half open. They're long and fine and beautiful, and they direct a compassionate and pleasing and peaceful gaze towards all the sentient beings. So his eyes are half open or half closed. Half closed signifying that he's in a state of meditative equipoise, meditating on the space-like emptiness nature of all sentient beings and all phenomena. And they being half open signifies that while he is absorbed in this state of meditative equipoise on the ultimate nature of phenomena, out of compassion, he is also uh, working for the liberation of all sentient beings. His lips are red, hair is blue-black in color, and each hair curls individually to the right. On his crown, on the head, is a small protrusion called the Ushnisha. His right palm rests on the right knee, and the middle finger touches the moon disk. Left palm is in the meditation mudra in his lap. So the right palm touching the moon disk signifies his conquest of the Mara Devaputra, the Mara of desire. The left palm in the meditation mudra in his lap signifies his conquest, his victory over the Mara of kleshas, or negative emotions, the Mara of negative emotions. In his left palm, he holds a begging bowl filled with pure nectar, signifying his victory over the Mara of the aggregates, or the Skanda Mara. And he sits in a Vajra posture, surrounded by an aura of light, made up of beams of bright light, signifying his conquest over the Mara of death. So while he's personally conquered all the four Maras, he's also working for, uh, he's also working to ensure that the other sentient beings also can conquer these four Maras. So all aspects of the Buddha's person, his being, his body, signify the perfect realizations that he's attained, he's actualized. All the internal realizations he's actualized. And also the causes that have gone into actualizing those perfections, those attainments. So Guru Shakyamuni Buddha encompasses the Guru, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, all the three jewels. And from his body emanate rays of light pervading the entire space in all the 10 directions. And at the tip of each such ray that emanates from his body, manifests Shakyamuni Buddha himself to ripen, to enable the spiritual maturation of all the sentient beings. So one such ray is directed towards me, and Shakyamuni Buddha, who manifests at the tip of this ray, looks at me and says, "Son of the lineage, if you want to be enlightened and liberated, I'll guide you." And thus saying, he promises to lead me on the path to liberation and omniscience, and also enable my freedom from the suffering in the miserable lower realms. But I, on the other hand, I have been taking rebirths since an infinite time. I've taken several rebirths, infinite rebirths in samsara, and yet I'm not free from the bondage of samsara. In this lifetime, I've attained this perfect human rebirth with its freedoms and endowments. But these freedoms and endowments are not going to remain forever, abide forever. They will be taken away from me at the time of death. And the timing of death is not certain. Could die any moment. Could be the very next moment that I could die. And there's no certainty that I'll be reborn as a human in my next lifetime. More likely that I'll be reborn in one of the lower realms where I'll have to endure a lot of suffering. Also, if by chance I'm reborn as a human or a deva, there's a lot of suffering in these realms too. As a human, we undergo the suffering of birth, aging, illness, dying, and a lot of mental anguish, anxiety, a lot of mental suffering. And the devas to experience a lot of suffering towards the end of their lives. So there's no, even in the higher realms, there's no peace that one could experience, lasting peace that one can experience. So there's nothing to trust about the higher realms. There's nothing to trust about samsara in general. But through some good fortune, I've attained this human rebirth with access to the doctrine and also access to spiritual friends who can guide me on the path. And I have this wonderful intellect that we can use to discriminate between different kinds of phenomena, between the flaws of samsara and the benefits of liberation. So we should all strive for liberation, but individual liberation is not a sufficient goal. Other sentient beings would still remain trapped in samsara. So we need to help them too. And in order to help them, we need to have the capacity to help them meaningfully. And to do that, we need to attain the state of a completely enlightened Buddha so that we can help them meaningfully on the path to liberation. So we should all aspire to attain the state of omniscience. And in our pursuit of the state of omniscience, we would need some assistance, and that assistance comes through the three jewels, the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and the Sangha jewel. Buddha, the teacher of the path, the Dharma jewel, which is the path itself, and the Sangha jewel, practitioners on the path, who through their insights can assist other fellow practitioners. So let's take refuge in these three jewels. Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Let's also offer the seven-limb prayer. Make the seven-limb offering to the three jewels. So with the three jewels visualized in the space in front of you, start with the first limb, which is the limb of homage. So visualize that the entire space is filled with duplicates of yourself, and make full body prostrations to the three jewels. So offer prostrations through the three doors, the body, speech, and mind door. Then the second limb is the limb of offering. Imagine that the entire space is pervaded with beautiful offerings, precious offerings, and extend these offerings to the three jewels. And then the third limb of confession. So confess any infractions or transgressions that you may have committed. Resolve not to repeat them in the future. Rejoice, the fourth limb, in the virtues created by the enlightened beings from the past, at the present, in the future. So rejoice in all these merits, and then make a plea to your gurus not to pass into nirvana and to continue to turn the wheel of dharma to benefit, so that sentient beings like us have access to the doctrine, have access to their advice. So that's the fifth and the sixth limb. And direct all the merits that you accumulated to the cultivation of the mind of enlightenment, the seventh limb. So make a genuine aspiration, wish to attain the state of enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So let's just recite this Bodhicitta prayer. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my practice of giving and other perfections. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, so we've set a good motivation for this session. Let's begin with the session. So we are in the third session of the present course on death and impermanence. So in the first session, we discussed the precious human rebirth and what makes it precious, why we should treasure it, and why we should see it as an opportunity to further our spiritual practice. So specifically, we spoke about what is called the endowments that characterize the human rebirth. So as the Bodhicharya Avtara, Shanti Deva's Bodhicharya Avtara recollects that the Buddha had said in this text, it says, if the arising of a Tathagat, faith, the attainment of a human body, and my being fit to cultivate virtue are scarce, when will they be one again? So in this verse, you can see he's essentially speaking about the endowments, the opportunities that characterize our present existence, human existence. So, kada tathagat utpadam shraddham manusham eva cha kushala abhyasa yogyatva evam lapse ati durlabham. So you're born in a time when the Tathagat has graced this world. You have faith in the Tripitak, the three baskets of teaching. You're born as a human with all the attendant, endowments, good intelligence, and you're free from the consequences of the inexpiable sins. You're born in a place which is free of conflict. Yeah. And then you have this wonderful ability to invest in practicing the path of virtue. So kushala abhyasa, yogyatva, evam. So you obtained all these wonderful endowments, which are extremely rare to obtain. So ati durlabham. So all these being born in a time when a Tathagat has come. So Tathagat utpadam, to have faith, shraddha, to be born as a human, manusham, to be born with the ability to engage or practice the path of virtue. All these things are pretty rare to obtain, and we've obtained all these endowments. And it would be not very wise of us to be not aware of these things and waste these opportunities, because it's not certain that these endowments will be made available to us in the future, or we would have access through our karma to these endowments in the future. So what are the freedoms and endowments? So these are the freedoms and endowments that we've spoken of. We've already discussed this, so let's not spend too much time here. So having studied the freedoms and endowments and developed the conviction that indeed we have all these freedoms and endowments, then it becomes incumbent on us to ensure that we use this human rebirth to advance our spiritual practice, because human rebirth is quite rare. And we had studied how rare human rebirth is, and we've seen um, this through an example, as well as what makes human rebirth rare in nature. So, just going by sheer numbers, there are many more sentient beings, non human sentient beings on this planet, infinitely more as compared to human beings. So if you were just to work out the probability of a human rebirth, it will be pretty small, infinite small, just on the basis of the numbers. Yeah. So there are more uh, non-human sentient beings that abide in this universe, and within the different realms, from amongst the different realms. So we talk about the 5 different kinds of sentient beings. So at the bottom are the hell beings. Then you have the hungry ghosts. Then you have the animals, and then you have humans and the devas, which are the fortunate realms. So in terms of numbers, there are many more hell beings as compared to the hungry ghost, and there are many more hungry ghosts as compared to animals. Uh, and Within the realm of animals, you'll find that there are more animals that there are fewer animals that we are aware of. There are more animals that we are not aware of in the uh, who abide in the marine environments. Yeah. So the terrestrial ones we are aware of, but the marine animals, those we are not aware of. So there are fewer animals as compared to the hungry ghosts, and there are fewer hungry ghosts as compared to hell beings. And compared to all these three, there are very few human beings. So, just in terms of the numbers, it's almost improbable to attain a human rebirth. And then to attain a human rebirth, characterized by these favorable conditions, where we are born in a place where there's no conflict, and which has been blessed by the Buddha's doctrine, the spiritual teachings. So we are born in what is called an eon of illumination, when the Buddha has come to the world. So to be reborn in a time when a Buddha has come to this world and shared his insights, that is quite rare. And then in terms of, through an analogy also, we studied how rare human rebirth is. So again, in the text Bodhicharya Avatar, Shantidev quotes the Buddha as saying that Manusham ati durlabham maha arnava yuga chidra kurma grivarpanopanam. So Maha Arnav is a vast ocean. Yug is an yoke ring with a small hole. Uh, and then Kurma is a sea turtle, and Grieve is his neck. So if you work out the probability of the turtle, a sea turtle who abides in the depths of the ocean, a vast ocean, uh, a blind turtle who resides in the depths of the vast ocean, who surfaces only once every 100 years. And then what is the probability of that turtle being able to poke its neck through an iron ring which is floating on the surface of the ocean, which could be anywhere on the surface of this ocean of the ocean. So it's again the probability is very low. So the analogy here speaks about the sea turtle, a blind sea turtle. So the sea turtle is ourselves, and its blindness is our ignorance, the ignorance that is present in our mind stream. Ignorance about different things, ignorance about the law of karma, ignorance about the true nature of reality. The ocean is the samsaric state, and the yoke or the yug with the chidra or the hole is the Buddha's teaching. So, just as improbable it is for the turtle to poke its neck through the iron ring, iron yoke, Similarly, it's nearly improbable for us to attain a human rebirth at a time when the Buddha's teachings are still being practiced. So, uh, this is what makes human rebirth exceptionally rare, very difficult to obtain, and hence it would be not wise of us to make the best use of this opportunity, and we should remind ourselves about this opportunity that we have, and practice the teachings to the best of our ability, and ensure that we practice it right now, because although we have access to these wonderful teachings through this human rebirth that we have, this our lifespan is not definite. It could be terminated any moment, and that's something that we need to reflect on. So, how do we cultivate the mindfulness of this reality that uh, you know, the freedoms and the endowments could be taken away from us, snatched away from us at any time, because our lifespans are not definite. Yeah, those are the things that we are going to discuss today. So for that, we need to cultivate what is called the mindfulness of death. And in the previous session, Venerable Legden has covered the faults of not cultivating mindfulness of death and the benefits of cultivating mindfulness of death. Today, we'll concentrate on what is the actual way to cultivate mindfulness of death. So, there are there's a very specific kind of technique that we use to cultivate mindfulness of death or remembrance of death. So that technique is called the 9-part meditation on death. So the 9-part meditation on death has what is called 3 roots, uh, and each root speaks about 3 supporting reasons. So what are the 3 roots that we need to cultivate mindfulness of? The fact that there is inevitability of death, it's a certain certainty. Uh, why death is inevitable? Those are the things that we'll explore on the 3 reasons, through the 3 reasons. uh, and then the second point is that death is inevitable, and when we will die is uncertain. Again, what makes death, the timing of death uncertain? There are 3 supporting reasons for that, so we'll discuss those 3 supporting reasons. And then there's another fact that we need to be aware of, the fact that at the time of death, absolutely nothing apart from our spiritual uh, practice, the merit that we accumulated, the good karma that we created. Apart from these 3 things, there's nothing else that's going to help us at the time of death. So, then how why exactly do we say that? The reasons for us to say this, those 3 reasons we'll explore uh, in a moment. Yeah. So the first one, the inevitability of death. So why is that inevitable? uh, Death is inevitable because there's absolutely no circumstance that we can think of which can prevent death. So whether it is at the end of 100 years or 110 years or 120 years or 80 years or 90 years, it's certain that we will perish uh, 80 years from our birth, 90 years or 100 years. Most people would probably consider themselves to be lucky if they are alive till 100. Yeah? Of course, there are a few who stay beyond 100, 110, 115. Um, but the average lifespan is about 80, 85, I guess, um, in the in the advanced countries, I guess it's higher. In the middle income countries, it's slightly lower, and in the poor countries, in the less wealthy countries, it's even lower. Uh, but no matter what the average lifespan is, it's certain that at the end of that span, uh, we're going to perish. That's a certainty. and it's reflected in this verse from the collection of indicative verses, or a text called Udana Varg, which says that if all the Buddhas and their disciples, the Pratyek Buddha disciples and the Shravaka disciples, if they left their bodies, what can be said about ordinary beings? So ordinary beings like us, uh, we have not even entered the path, so to say, of either the Shravakayana or the Pratyek Buddhayana or the Bodhisattvayana. So we are very ordinary beings in relation to those enlightened beings. So even these enlightened beings, like the Shravakas and the Pratyek Buddhas and the Buddhas, they had to leave their bodies behind uh, when they exhausted the karma for that lifetime. Uh, so if they had to leave their bodies behind, there's absolutely no way that we can avoid, um, being separated from our bodies. So the Lord of Death at the end of our lifespans will come. It's inevitable that the Lord of Death will come, and there's absolutely no condition or no circumstance that we can deploy to prevent this. So the Lord of Death is going to come and take the life force out of us, and that will be the end of us. We'll be separated from our precious bodies. So no matter where we stay, that comes. So this we speak about circumstances that could prevent that. So is it possible that we could hide somewhere in this universe and then cheat the Lord of Death? Yeah, maybe the Lord of Death can be tricked. You could hide yourself in some part of the universe where it's not possible for him to come. His GPS tracker is not working, and then is not able to track us. Is it possible? Obviously, it's not. So again, indicated in this verse, the collection of indicative verses from the Udan Varg, it says, somewhere to live that is unharmed by death. Such a place does not exist. It does not exist in space. It does not exist in the sea, nor if you stay in the midst of mountains. So it says, na eva antariksha na samudra madhya na parvatanam vivaram pravishya na vidyate aso prithvi pradesho yatra sthitam na prasaheta mrityu. So there's no place in this universe that you can retreat to cheat death. Yeah. So you cannot hide in space, antariksh. You cannot hide somewhere in the oceans, samudra, or you cannot, nor can you hide in some cave in the mountains. So parvatanam vivaram pravishya, you cannot enter. So although the English verse says in the midst of mountains, in the Sanskrit verse, it says parvatanam vivaram. So vivar actually implies a cave. So some tiny hideout in the midst of the mighty mountains, if there's a place like that where you could retreat to, it is possible to avoid death, cheat the Lord of Death. It's not possible to do that. Yeah. So there's no place which is where you can retreat to which is unharmed by death. It does not exist in space. It does not exist in the sea, nor does it exist in the midst of mountains, in the caves, in tiny hideouts in the mighty mountains. The wise know that all who have come and will come perish, leave this body and go to the next life. Therefore, be sure to engage in pure behavior by abiding in the teaching. So the wise who have reflected on the true nature of our existence know that all those who have come, all those who will come in the future, all perish and leave this body behind and go to the next life. So it's therefore necessary, or it's imperative, that we engage in pure behavior by abiding in the teaching, so that we ensure that we have the right conditions in the next lifetime too. So, therefore, be sure to engage in pure behavior. Pure behavior is brahmacharya, chareta. Engaging in pure behavior, brahmacharyam chareta. By abiding in the teaching, dharme asthito, so abide in the dharma, dharme asthito, brahmacharyam chareta. So abide in the dharma, in the teaching, and ensure that you engage in pure behavior. Because all that has come, all who will come in the future, everybody perishes and has to leave his or her body behind and go to the next life. And in the next life, it's not certain what kind of conditions you would be presented with. So the Lord of Death, uh, so the circumstances that we are talking about, so the Lord of Death will come inevitably, no matter what circumstances we present it with. Uh, so whatever body you assume at the time of birth, death will come inevitably. So we have ordinary bodies. And the people who have practiced the path and reached higher states of realization, like the Pratik Buddhas, the Shavakas, and the Buddhas, they've kind of refined their bodies. But in spite of that, they had to leave their bodies behind. So, whatever body, physical form we assume at birth, it's inevitable that uh, death will come. So that kind of condition, some some kind of special form, if we were to deploy, would we be able to cheat death? Obviously not. That's what it's saying. Would we be able to hide in some place and cheat death? Again, that's not possible. Then would we be able to deploy some special powers? So we could invest in cultivating uh, clairvoyant powers, or we could invest in spiritual practices like chanting mantras and such. But would these by themselves be sufficient for us to avoid death? Again, that is not possible. So, no matter what means we employ, whether it's clairvoyant powers or the energy from the chanting of mantras, death cannot be avoided. And this point is made through this example again from a sutra called the Advice to the King Sutra. So it talks about this phase of the destruction of the universe uh, uh, where you can think about the universe kind of closing onto itself with these four great mountains converging from the four directions and crushing everything in the way, everything to dust. So when these mountains come, it will not be easy for anybody to escape them, to quickly run away, or or maybe even try to force them away with some magical spell, some mantras, or stop them through the power of some medicine, or use some special power, force, or wealth. So that's not going to be possible. So in a similar way, when these four frights come, it's not going to be easy for us to quickly run away or turn these four frights away with either force or wealth or substances or mantras or medicine. So, what are these four frights that we're talking about here? So, these are the factors of aging, the factor of sickness, decay, and death. So, when the force of these four factors, these four um, forces is deployed, uh, then it's not going to be possible for us to turn them away with either force or through some sort of clairvoyant abilities or through the power of mantras. So, what does aging do? Aging comes and destroys our youth. So, aging, it comes and destroys our youth. Sickness comes and destroys our health. Decay comes and destroys all that is excellent. And death comes and destroys all life. So when these four conditions, these factors converge, it's not going to be easy for us to run away from them, no matter what kind of clairvoyant abilities we have. Uh, if you have serious kind of spiritual abilities, then that's a different matter. But most of us don't have that. Even if we were to be, conversant with some of these uh, powers, clairvoyant powers, or we have some special mantras that we can chant, those are not going to be able to prevent us from the influence of these four factors: aging, sickness, decay, and death. So, death will come and destroy our life. Aging comes and destroys our youth. Uh, Sickness comes and destroys our health, and decay will come and destroy everything that we cherish, everything that we consider to be excellent, everything that we grasp at, everything that we kind of crave for. Yeah. So whether it is some special kind of physical form, or some kind of special abode that we would retreat to, or the force of clairvoyant powers or mantras, none of these are going to be able to prevent uh, the inevitable death. So death is inevitable, absolutely inevitable. So the inevitability of death, and there will be no circumstance that can prevent it. So that's the first reason. Death is inevitable because there's no circumstance that can prevent it. The second reason is that death is inevitable because our lifespan is not being added to. There's constant depletion every moment that we live. So from the moment that we were born, there's just one secular kind of trend. We are, with every passing second, we are approaching, we are getting closer and closer to our final moment. So the moment we are born, we have started dying actually. So, and then we were propelled into this human rebirth through the force of some karma in the past, and that karma was also it also came stamped with some sort of a completion karma. So uh, some karma was responsible for us to be reborn as humans, but what kind of lifespan we have, individual lifespan, not the average lifespan, that would be determined by what kind of completion karma that we have created in the past. So anything that is precipitated by past karma can have no further additions to it. So whatever completion karma we have created in the past, which is responsible for the conditions that we've been endowed with in this present lifetime, that cannot be changed. That karma cannot be changed. If it was possible, then we could kind of think about adding to our lifespan, but that's not possible. Hence, you know, there's no way we can lengthen our lifespan. There's constant depletion with every passing moment of this life. So anything that is created, which is a result of the past karma, there's absolutely no way that that can be altered. The fruit, once it is fructified, can be altered. And with each moment, we are getting closer and closer to the Lord of Death. So from the moment we are born, we are getting closer to our, ultimate demise. Yeah, and we are relentlessly marching towards our death, being delivered to the Lord of Death. So this is reflected in this verse, this relentless march towards death. Now, with each moment, we are kind of getting closer to our ultimate demise. It's reflected in this verse from the Bodhicharya Avatar, Shanti Deva's text, which says that this life is constantly lost, day and night without a pause, and there is nothing which can extend it. Why should death not come to someone like me? So, someone like me who is a normal, ordinary being who is not invested in proper spiritual training, uh, why would death not come to me? Yeah, I have a allotted lifespan. Once that is exhausted, I'll die, and I'm kind of constantly losing life. Yeah, whatever balance this lifetime came stamped with, and that is being eroded every moment, with every passing day, with every passing night, without a pause, relentlessly. There's depletion happening in the lifespan. So ratrim divam avishramam ayusho vardate vyaya. So our losses are constantly mounting with every passing day, with every passing night, without any kind of pause. Avishramam. Yeah. Ayusho vardate ve. So Ayusho is your lifespan. Vardate is the losses, or Vardate is expansion, and Vyaya is your losses. So expansion in losses, increase in the losses. What is being lost? Your lifespan is being lost. Yeah. So ayasya chagamo nasti na marishyami kiman vaham. So ayasya cha agamo nasti. So ayu agamo nasti is there's no addition happening to my ayu. Yeah. And hence, how can I say that I'm not going to die? Why should I not die if there's no addition happening? And with every passing moment, with every passing day and night, uh, my life loss is kind of mounting. It's increasing. It's expanding. Yeah, there's no way that I can think about a condition where I'm not going to die. Yeah. So this is the reason why death is inevitable. The second reason, death is inevitable because lifespan is not being added to. There's constant depletion happening from our lifespan. Uh, and this fact that lifespan is not being added to and there is constant depletion happening from our lifespan is also kind of further emphasized through these examples, through these analogies. So, what are the analogies? These are mentioned in the Udan Varga. It says that just as a strong downward current of a river cannot be reversed, so too the movement of human life is irreversible. So, what is the movement of human life? It is from birth to death. That cannot be arrested. It cannot be reversed. Just like you cannot reverse the downward current of a river. Life is hard, brief, and full of suffering. It vanishes so quickly, like that written on water with a stick. So, if you were to describe something on the surface of water, it's short lived. So, life is like that. It is short lived, and it is hard, it is brief, it is full of suffering. Yeah. And just as livestock go home when the herdsmen raise their sticks, so sickness and aging lead humans to the Lord of Death. So just like a herdsman, when he raises the stick, the sheep, goat, they get the signal and they can follow the signal and then start their journey back home, back to their shelters. Similarly, the herdsmen of sickness and aging, they signal, they give the signal and lead human life to the ultimate destination, which is death. So yatha dandena gopalo ga prapayati gocharam evam rogera jara mrityu ayu prapayate nirnam. So with roger, with rog, with sickness, jara is illness, and mrityu ayu prapayate. So with illness and aging, and you come closer, you keep coming closer to death. So death is inevitable because our lifespan is not being added to. There's depletion happening every moment. Another example that speaks about this depletion every moment. Uh, so this comes from a text called "The Story for Stopping the Four Errors," or sorry, from the text, the Extensive Sport Sutra or the Lalit Vistara Sutra. It talks about impermanence and it explains impermanence through these examples. So, what are the examples? So, the three worlds are impermanent, like an autumn cloud. So the three worlds could be the Kamalok, the Rupalok, and the Arupalok, or the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. So these are impermanent like an autumn cloud. So all clouds are impermanent. So this is specific.
Nataranga samajagi.
Okay, so the three worlds are impermanent like an autumn cloud. So the autumn clouds, the autumn skies are supposed to be relatively free of clouds. So having a cloud in the autumn sky is quite rare, apparently. Clear skies mostly. Yeah. So the three worlds are impermanent like an autumn cloud. So the cloud kind of makes a brief appearance and then it vanishes. So similarly, the three worlds that we take rebirth in, the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm, these are also impermanent. The birth and the death of beings is like watching a dance. So birth and death are kind of intertwined. They are in this uh, inseparable embrace, very strong embrace. So from the moment we are born, we kind of started our journey towards death. So birth and death of beings is like watching a dance in a tight embrace. The passage of life is like lightning in the sky. It moves quickly like a waterfall. So our lifespans are very short. The passage of life is very rapid, like lightning in the sky. Before we even notice it has disappeared from the sky. And they move quickly like a waterfall. So Giri Nadya is a water. It says waterfall, but probably can be translated as mountain streams. And they're quite rapid and they fall quite rapidly. So Giri Nadya Samam Lagushigram Javam Vrajatayu Jage Yatha Vidyu Nabeya. So just like the Vidyut, the lightning in the sky, in the Nabha, Vidyu Nabheya, like that, our Ayu, our lifespans are also uh, very short and they kind of rapidly disappear. So that is inevitable because our lifespan is not being added. It's very short. There's depletion every moment. So this is the second reason why that is inevitable. Um, so let's look at the third reason. So what is the third reason? So we'll look at the third reason and then we'll pause for a 5-minute break and then we'll continue. Yeah. So the third reason why death is said to be inevitable is because, or rather, it kind of presents a consequence of the fact that death is inevitable. So death is inevitable, uh, but let's say we have accepted the fact that death is inevitable, but we may be under the impression that lifespans are 80, 90 years right now uh, in the developed world. In the developing world, maybe a little shorter. But let's say we have convinced ourselves that 80 years is what uh, the average lifespan is in place where we abide in. Uh, but although we may think that we are going to live for this entire lifespan of 80 years or 100 years, uh, we know that much of our life has already been wasted. Yeah, we've already kind of midway through this lifespan. Half of it, half of what is pending, whatever is left, let's say we have another 40 years of our lives left, will be spent in sleep. And many of our waking hours when we are awake will be wasted with other distractions, so other worldly concerns that we have. Yeah. And from whatever lifespan is left, you know, we've already kind of beyond the youthful phase. So youth has faded and the time of aging has arrived. So we'll find that progressively it will be difficult for us to engage in some of the practices that we need to engage in, uh, both on the physical as well as the mental side, because our physical being has deteriorated. Even our mental strength has deteriorated. Yeah, we are not as mentally alert as we used to be in the past. So as youth fades, all these symptoms start manifesting, coming to the forth. And it's going to be difficult for us to practice spirituality. So you know uh, death is inevitable. We may have accepted that fact, but let's not be under the impression that we still have time to uh, do our spiritual practice. With every passing day, it's going to become more difficult for us to engage in our spiritual commitments. And there was a short interaction I had with Rinpoche, Zopa Rinpoche, when he was here. And we were discussing a few things, and I was talking about, he asked me, what are the things that you do practice? And we're talking about my practice. And discussion came to the point of, how to do prostrations and what kind of, schedule you have for your prostrations and all that. And then he said that, yeah, you should do prostrations right now because you never know. Later on, it would be difficult for you to do this practice of offering prostrations. It involves some physical activity. So with every passing year, your physical ability to engage in that kind of a practice, that gets compromised. So he said you should make sure that you offer as many prostrations as you can while you can. Yeah. In the future, it will be difficult. Uh, so yeah, maybe we've accepted the inevitability of death, but then we may be a little complacent and assume that there's still some time left for a practice. But the fact of the matter is that going by our experience, there's very little time that we'll spend in practicing spirituality. So before we die, there's very little investment in spiritual practice that we're going to make in. Yeah. So that's the third point. We'll definitely die before getting around to practicing Dharma. So just as there's an example that His Holiness talks about quite often also. This verse, it's a quote from a famous Lama called Hongdan Rinpoche, and he says, perhaps 20 years of being unaware of practice, perhaps 20 years of going to practice, saying that I'll practice, perhaps another 10 years of never did I practice. That's the story of my empty and wasted human life. So to a great degree, that is a reflection of what we are also going through. Yeah, we started our lives, and then for most of our initial years, we are unaware of spiritual practice. And then when we connected with spirituality, even then, there's always been this tendency that we've had that, okay, I will practice, I'll practice later. And then as death approaches, towards the end of our lives, we don't have the physical or the mental energy to practice. And then we keep regretting, we never did I practice. That would be the story of our empty lives too, if we are not careful. Similar sentiment is kind of reflected in this sutra called the Descent into the Womb Sutra. It says, moreover, half of the 100-year lifespan is covered by sleep. 10 years are childhood, 20 years of old age, sorrow, lamentation, physical suffering, mental discomfort, and agitation take up time. So when we are ill, we are not able to practice. When we are mentally down, we are not able to practice. When we are mentally agitated, we are not able to practice. When we are grieving, we are not able to practice. Of course, in our childhood, we are too young to practice. We don't understand spirituality. When we are old, our physical and mental abilities do not support spiritual practice. So, and there are hundreds of different physical illnesses that consume our time. So that is the story. So that with all these things, it's going to be very difficult for us to use whatever remaining time we have in this life to cultivate, spiritual practice. So this is the third reason. Death is inevitable, and we'll definitely die before getting around to practicing Dharma if we are not careful. If we are careful, then whatever time we have left in this lifetime, we'll use it wisely and cultivate some merit and virtue to ensure that we do not suffer in this life and also in the future life. Okay, we'll pause here, and then we'll discuss the second point of the uncertainty of death, and the third point after the break. So we'll take a 5-minute break. So let's reassemble at 7:20. Is that okay, Shanti?
Yes, Venerable.
Yeah. Okay. So let's
7
pause for
cents.
5. Discussing the 9-part meditation on death. So we covered the first part, and we'll discuss the
So I think we mentioned prostrations. It's not really related to 9-part meditation, but since there was a mention of prostrations,
yeah.
I just wanted to know a little off topic. Pardon me for that. How many prostrations do a standard monk make? Means, is it some uh, or or somebody who has done a lot of prostration practice? What kind of number does he achieve?
So I'll tell you about. I just had this conversation with a lady I met this afternoon in a meeting I had. So she's doing this non-ro practice, which is done in the Golden Temple. So they actually assign a certain number to the participants that you need to complete these many prostrations in one day. So our monks also they do prostrations in their rooms. Some of them actually travel all the way to the holy pilgrimage places like Bodh Gaya and offer prostrations there. So I've known of monks who offer close to 1,000 prostrations a day, 1,000. The lady I met, she said she's doing about 300 or something per day, 300 per day. Yeah. So it depends, yeah. Depends on how motivated you are, or on the other hand, how lazy you feel. You could just do a short session, maybe with one set of prostration for the 35 confession Buddhas. Yeah.
And overall
Also
number
depends
kind
on
of.
your physical ability. Yeah? If you're constrained in some manner, your knees are not well, then you can offer mental prostrations also, and that's possible. Yeah. Yeah. So about
Is there
1,000,
some,
1,000 is probably something that most monks work with. Yeah.
and for lifetime, how much will that number come to approximately? I'm just trying to.
So when they have these sessions, so whatever time they've allotted for themselves, maybe 2 months or 3 months or maybe 1.5 months, they try to complete about 100,000 prostrations in that session, and then they may take a pause and then do another session later. So 100,000 per retreat, prostration retreat, so to say.
So 100,000 is a standard number that most of monks
Standard.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But some would do even twice that, or
Yeah. There are those who do it every day. There's no number per se. So just do it. Yeah. Every day.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
So, Venerable Kalden, I have a follow-up question. What is the mental what should be the thought process we aim for when offering prostrations? What should we think? Like, what should our emotional state, or what should we think about?
Okay, so Ratnaka mentioned the name of a specific Buddha called Varuna, Tathagat Varuna. So that's part of the 35 confession Buddhas, yeah. So that practice is done to purify your transgressions and infractions. So when you do that practice, you remind yourselves of all the transgressions that you committed in relation to different bases. So any violation of the vows that you committed, the vows would be violated. So those transgressions or infractions would be in relation to the discipline prescribed by the Buddha. Yeah. So remind yourself of that. There could be other transgressions that you committed which are not in the nature of transgression of vows, but could have hurt other sentient beings. So those transgressions, infractions are in relation to the other sentient beings. So you remind about these two kinds of infractions. And then for those infractions that you committed in relation to the Tathagat Buddhas, you redo the refuge, yeah. And for the other set of infractions, you cultivate the mind of enlightenment or bodhicitta, yeah. And then you do the recitations. You recite the names of all the Tathagats. And with each recitation, you remind yourself of the fact that the Tathagats have shown you the path, and then what is the path that they have shown? The path of wisdom and compassion. So remind yourself of the practice of wisdom and compassion, and reinforce your resolve to cultivate wisdom and compassion. And then when you're doing that prostration, when you recite the name of the deity, you visualize the deity also. So the visualization also needs to be done. So with each of the confession Buddhas that you're offering the prostration to, you recite the name. So that's the verbal prostration in a way. And then you visualize the deity. So that's the mental prostration. And that is, of course, the physical prostration that you're doing. And then visualize that the entire space is pervaded with copies of yourself. So you're offering prostrations not with just one physical prop. You kind of multiplying that effect by visualizing that there are infinite duplicates of yourself. So that kind of thing that is necessary for you to do when you do the prostrations. Yeah?
Thanks.
Okay, so let's proceed with the discussion then. So the second part of this 9-part meditation on death, or the second root, is the uncertainty of death. So all of us agree that death is inevitable. That's not very difficult for us to accept. Of course, to what extent it is internalized is a different issue, but we accept at the intellectual level that death is inevitable. But it is this that is very difficult for us to accept. So the uncertainty of death, accepting the possibility that death could come any moment, could be the next moment also. Like we had discussed in the previous session, it's very difficult for us to accept this. Even those who are in the terminal stages, were about to kind of die, would say that, oh, I still have a couple of days left or a week left. So we do accept the inevitability of death, but we always have this thing, this belief that death will happen, but only at a much later time in our lives, or not immediately. But the truth is that it's uncertain. Yeah. So when death comes is uncertain. And why is it uncertain? There are certain reasons for that. The first reason is that the lifespans in the realm that we inhabit, the religious name for this realm is Jambudweep. And there are three other continents also where human beings reside. So in the realm of Jambudweep, the lifespans are not fixed. Like it said that in the realm of Uttara Kuru, another realm where the human beings reside, the lifespans are fixed there. So let's say it's 100 years, so everybody has that lifespan of 100 years. But in our realm, average lifespan may be 80 years or 90 years, but we know that there are beings who live beyond 80, but there are others who also kind of pass on even as a young age, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours or 1 day or 2 days or a week old baby passing on. So lifespan is not fixed in the realm that we inhabit. So it is certain that death will come sometime between today and 100 years, assuming that the average lifespan is 100 years. From now, it is, but it's uncertain within that period when death will come. And there is a very definite non-zero probability that death could come today. Yeah. Difficult for us to accept, but it's possible. And that could come through any door. Yeah. We may think that, okay, I'm still quite young. Yeah. Yeah, relatively, let's say. Yeah. Not very young, but relatively young, and not very close to 80 or 90. So, yeah, maybe we still have half our lifetimes remaining. Yeah. So we may think that it's not time yet for us to die because I'm not that old. Yeah. But we know that we've seen people around us of similar age passing on, and you keep hearing these days of people as young as 30, 35 getting heart attacks and passing on, something that was not heard of in the past. Yeah. Some of these deaths are being attributed to COVID. Apparently, I've heard that theory that because of the immunization, the vaccination that was done, the vaccines may be responsible for some of these sudden deaths or sudden cases of heart attacks at young age. So anyway, we know that death strikes many young children. Causes could be different, natural, unnatural, man-made, but that does strike many young children. So although we may be young, there's no guarantee that death would not come. We may think that will not die today because I'm not ill. Yeah, I'm not carrying any illness, no sickness, no major illness, no physical problem. But yet we know that there are a lot of healthy people with no sign of illness who die sudden deaths. Suddenly, somebody just collapses and just passes on. We know people who, very healthy people who have passed on with no sign of illness through man-made factors, of course, and then natural factors also. We've seen people who passed on. No diagnosis, no reason known for their death, but healthy people with no sign of illness have passed on. So our thinking that we'll not die today because I'm not ill again is not a valid reason for us to assume that I'll not die today. And lifespans in our world are not fixed, as we just discussed. If we could be certain about when our death is going to come, then it will give us the space to plan things. So let's say if I was certain that I'm going to pass on at 80, 85, then I can plan my worldly commitments, engagement with worldly commitments, and make sure that all those are dealt with first, and then use whatever spare time I have to practice spirituality. So all my worldly engagements, like protecting my dear ones, ensuring their physical, financial security, then making sure that my enemies are put in their place so that they do not harm my dear ones later on. All that is taken care of, and then I use the spare time to practice Dharma before dying. But that's not possible. We are not certain about when our death can come. So if we keep thinking that I'm not going to die today, then that is going to be a major deterrent for our spiritual practice. Whereas on the other hand, if we have this attitude that there is a possibility that could come unannounced, it could be in the near term. Today may be a little too radical. Yeah? It's still very difficult for us to accept that I'm going to probably die today. But we can train ourselves to think that it's possible that I could die in the near term. Yeah. If we have that thought, then we'll invest our resources to create the right conditions, to create the merit that could benefit us in our next lifetime, and then make preparations for our next life. Yeah. Instead of just making provisions for this life. So we need to be very mindful of this attitude that we have, and it is very inherent to our thought process. We do assume that we're not going to die in the immediate term, in the near term. Yeah, we need to be very careful about that. So death is uncertain, because lifespans in our degenerated times are not fixed. Yeah, and then so this fact that the lifespans in our RAM are not fixed is reflected in this verse from the Abhidharma Kosha. It says that here, which is the human realm that we inhabit, the lifespan is uncertain. At the end of the cycle, it is 10 years. In the beginning, it's measureless. So in the beginning, meaning in the past, apparently we had much longer lifespans. The land of Jambudweep, the realm of Jambudweep, the lifespans were much longer. Now it's about 100 years. Eventually, or rather, in the future, it will be cut down to 10 years. So that would be the end of the cycle, meaning something drastic is going to happen at a physical level in this RAM. And then that process will be reversed and lifespan will start increasing again. So the text says, Iham iha aniyatam ante tu dashabdaha adito amitama. So amita is measureless. Adito meaning in the beginning, right? So iha means right now. Aniyatam. So the lifespan is not definite. And then towards the end of this cycle, ante tu dashabda. So towards the end of the cycle, the lifespan is going to drop down to about 10 years. Whereas at the beginning, Adi, it was amitam, so it wasn't. It was kind of measureless. It was significantly longer. So the point that is being made here is that lifespans for us, the RAM that we inhabit, which is the RAM of Jambudweep, this is not fixed. Yeah. Again, the same point is being kind of conveyed through these verses in the Udana Varg, or the collection of indicative verses. There are several verses which talk about the same point, and says that among the many beings that we see in the morning, some are not seen in the evening, which is true. From our experience, we know that we've lost people that we've just met in the morning or we have seen in the morning, and in the evening when we inquire about them, we come to know that they've passed on. So among the many beings seen in the morning, some are not seen in the evening. Among the many beings seen in the evening, some are not seen in the morning. Lifespan is are not fixed, and death, the timing of death is uncertain. When many men and women and even youths die, how can the living be so confident to say this person is still too young to die? You know of a lot of young people who have died, especially in the time of COVID. We've seen a lot of young people dying, very healthy young people dying. Some die in the womb, some at birth, some when they crawl, some where they can run. Some are old, some are young adults. Everyone goes gradually, like ripe fruit falling. Yeah, so when we go is uncertain. And then the second reason why it said that death is uncertain is because there are more factors that contribute towards a death as compared to those that contribute towards our life. And this is highlighted in this verse from Nagarjuna's Ratnavali. He says, we dwell among the causes of death. So we are surrounded by causes of death. Like a butter lamp standing in a strong breeze. Again, it's true from our experience. We know that we have a very fragile body, and we are surrounded by hostile conditions all the time. It's a marvel that it's a miracle that we haven't succumbed to those hostile forces. We know of deaths which have happened because of some very innocuous kind of forces, like the just a person just having a just tripping over something and having not a very violent fall, but bumping his head on the ground, and then he passes on. A very innocuous kind of accident, but is gone. He's gone. So that tripping, again, a very innocuous kind of hostile factor, But we are surrounded by these kind of hostile factors in our environment, much more hostile than just a wire, invisible wire, which we could trip over. You know, tripping over the invisible wire, the probability of dying is much lesser. But there are other hostile forces in our environment, which if we encounter, it's certain that we'll die. And we are surrounded by these kind of hostile factors in our environment. And it's a miracle that we do not succumb to them. So, mrityu pratyaya madhyastha pravatastha pradipavat. So, mrityu pratyaya, so the conditions of death, madhyastha. So we are surrounded, madhyastha, so we abide amidst conditions of death, conditions that could bring on death. Like pravat is gushing winds. Yeah, pravatastha pradipavat. So a pradeep, like a butter lamp, which is standing in the midst of gushing winds, which is surrounded by gushing winds. So a similar sentiment is being reflected through this verse from the friendly letter. It says, life is more impermanent than a water bubble, battered by the winds of many perils. Thus that you can inhale after exhaling or awaken from sleep. These things are fantastic. So it's a miracle that we, get up in the morning. There are so many hostile factors in our environment. We could die in sleep, in our beds. But yet, we rise up in the morning. It's a miracle. Yeah. The truth of the matter is that we are surrounded by a lot of hostile factors. We are like our life force is like a water bubble. It can be punctured by even the most innocuous of forces. And yet, we are surrounded by very severe hostile forces. So we are battered by the winds of many perils. Yeah. So we need to be aware of this fact also, that there are more contributing factors contributing towards our death than those that contribute to our life. So these hostile factors could be in the form of sentient beings, other sentient beings, invisible sentient beings possible, even visible sentient beings. We have a lot of hostility directed towards us from people who do not like us. But apart from humans also, there's a lot of hostile forces in our environment which are not visible to us. And then there are insentient things, a lot of hostile things in our environment. The very air that we breathe can become a condition that could terminate our life force, take away our life force. So harm occurs due to all these sentient and insentient hostile factors. And then they could trigger internal diseases, yeah, or maybe physical harm through injuries. And since we do not have, we haven't invested in spiritual practice as much as we should have. We do not have the right accumulation of merit. If we had the right accumulation of merit, then we would have some immunity towards these kind of hostile forces. So we could, we not easily succumb to these hostile forces. So some practices like mantra recitation, if we had the right amount of merit backing it up, then that could, be effective in controlling some of this hostility in our environment and protect us against that hostility. The very factors that we think support our life force, like food and drink, the shelter that we abide in, or the friends that we trust or who will protect us, provide us security. These very things could become the causes for our death. Food, for example, wrong kind of food poisoning happens and you become seriously ill and you die. Similar with drink. The shelter that protects you from the sun, the rain could collapse. That could become the cause of your death. Food, if you consume too little, it could be the cause of your death. If you consume too much, it could be the cause of your death. Friends could deceive you. They could become the cause of your death. Instead of protecting you, providing you security, they could bring on your death. So the very forces that we look towards, we have faith in them we have faith that they would be able to protect us, to secure our lives. Those very forces could become the conditions for us to experience death. So there are many factors contributing towards our death and few that contribute towards our life. And then the third reason why the death is deemed to be uncertain is because our bodies are extremely fragile. It's like a water bubble, as is mentioned in the verse from the friendly letter, uh, and therefore it's prone to damage very easily. Yeah, and again, there are lots and lots of examples that we can think about. Uh, People have died because of the most innocuous of injuries. Yeah. Uh, the example that is being mentioned here is being pricked by a thorn. And we know of all these incidents. Like we know people who've had these accidents and or maybe being pricked by a thorn or being bit by a bee. And then that sting of the bee, it gets, that area gets infected and the infection becomes serious and the person loses his or her life. Uh, it's not out of the ordinary. It's things that we know of. Yeah. So our bodies are extremely fragile, and because of that, we're in constant danger of having losing our lives. So, because of the fragility of our body, the timing of our death is uncertain. And then the third reason, the third root of this practice is that uh, if we're not careful, then at the time of death, we'll die only with regret, and nothing will help us at the time of death. Only the dharma that we've invested in, the spiritual practices that we've engaged in, the merit that we've accumulated through our spiritual practice, that's the only thing that's going to aid us at the time of death. Yeah. In what manner? It could help us in uh, actualizing the right kind of propelling karma at the time of death. Yeah? Let's say you've invested in the cultivation of mind of enlightenment, and at the time of death, you can actually meditate on the mind of enlightenment because that's a virtuous mind. If that acts as the cause for the immediate cause for rebirth into the next lifetime, then that is going to propel you into a favorable, happier rebirth. Yeah. So dharma can help you at the time of death in that sense, yeah? Not in the sense that you can prolong your life, yeah? Because that is the function of the completion karma, which you already accumulated in the past and which has already been actualized in this lifetime. So wealth cannot help at the time of death. Maybe there's a possibility of bribing the Lord of Death, Yama, at the time of death. I don't know what's the going rate. If that was a possibility, then we could invest in creating enormous, huge bank balances and then use that to prolong our lives and bribe the Lord of Death. But that obviously does not help. No matter how many piles of beautiful jewels we have, uh, not even the slightest particle of from that collection of jewels will help us at the time of death. So one may have enough food for 100 years. One has invested in ensuring security, financial security, food security, and he's good for another 100 years. But come death's morning, one goes hungry. One may have enough clothes for 100 years, but come death's morning, one goes naked. So nothing from our physical acquisitions will help us at the time of death. Friends and relatives can't help. We always talk about this thing that, oh, he died a peaceful death and he was surrounded by all his family members and friends and a host of people. Uh, But the fact is that no matter how many loving and very worried, concerned, well-wishing relatives and friends you're surrounded by, at the time of death, none of them is going to help you at the time of death, other than your own practice. You're not going to be able to take any one of them as your assistant uh, on the path after death. So you'll have to walk the path of the intermediate stage after death alone. Nobody's going to help you after dying. No matter how worried they are, how sincerely they wish that you don't die. They may be the most sincere of your well wishers, but their presence is not going to help you at the time of death. It's only your own dharma practice which will help you at the time of death. And your body that you invested in so much, you've cherished it so much. You invested in building your physical being. Maybe you think that it will come to your rescue you at the time of death. Even that's not going to help at the time of death. So you'll have to leave your body behind, the thing that you call your body, and you've invested so much in building, uh, developing. You protected it against hunger, against cold. Uh, you've been very careful that not even the most minor of injuries through a prick of a thorn is inflicted on this body. Uh, all that is going to not matter at the time of death. Your body is not going to help you at the time of death. Only your dharma practice will help you at the time of death. So uh, these are the uh, three roots and the 9 reasons. The 9-part meditation on that we need to seriously invest in cultivating, uh, and make sure that we you know we internalize this fact that death is inevitable, and more importantly, we internalize this fact that the timing of death is uncertain. Yeah, as I discussed in the previous session, very important teaching that I benefited from Lama Zopa Rinpoche when I had this interaction with him in Bangalore once. He said, "I want a watch which reads, which prompts with every tick of the second hand that I'm going to die. I'm going to die." If we uh, have that kind of a mental watch working in our mind stream, that would be very useful, and that will help us in investing more of our resources in cultivating our spiritual practice. So maybe with every with the passing of every second, it may not be possible for us to remind ourselves of our impending death, but at least think that death is not like 40 years away or 50 years away. It's possible that we could die in the near term also. So let's internalize that fact. It's the fact, and conduct our spiritual practice accordingly to provide us a greater impetus to our practice and help us in ensuring that we have the right conditions, the right conditions being the endowments, the freedoms and the endowments that characterize our being right now. At least we are blessed with similar kind of conditions in the future. So that's the 9-part meditation on that. So we'll pause here. So in this is the third session on death and impermanence, and the next session will be the last session. So there, Venerable Legden will discuss how to prepare for death. So yeah, we'll pause. We will just do a short prayer for a CKSL member who just passed on a couple of days back, Subhashini, along with other deceased people who were connected with the center or the center's members. So there's also another member, center member called Saket. His father passed on recently, Dr. K.V. Mehta. So let's do a short prayer, just recite a short prayer for them, and share our merits, do a dedication at the end of that recitation. So I'll share a prayer with you. Maybe we can recite that together. So let me just share something. 1 second. Just let me share the prayer. Okay, so this is a prayer that we recite at the monastery when relatives of deceased people request us for prayers. So it's called the King of Prayers or the Aspirations of Samanta Bhadra. So let's just recite this prayer. So just take a moment to reflect on the discussion that we've had today. It was about death, and there are examples in front of us. Subhashini, she passed on 2 days back due to uh, illness and aging, of course. So just remind ourselves that we are also prone to these very same factors, and you know, our, our death is also inevitable, and the timing of our death is uncertain. And then think about all the members of the center who have, or those connected with the members of the center who have passed on. And then let's just recite this prayer. So, the extraordinary aspiration of the practice of Samanta Bhadra. So in Sanskrit, the prayer says Samanta Bhadracharya Pranidhana. So I bow down to the youthful Arya Manjushri. You lions among humans, gone to freedom in the present, past, and future. In the worlds of 10 directions, to all of you with body, speech, and sincere mind, I bow down. With the energy of aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms of the world, to all you Buddhas visualized before me, I bow down. On every atom are Buddhas numberless as atoms, each amidst a host of Bodhisattvas, and I am confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with Buddhas in this way. With infinite oceans of praise for you and oceans of sound from the aspects of my voice, I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you gone to bliss. Beautiful flowers and regal garlands, sweet music, scented oils and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense I offer to you victorious ones. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, sandalwood powder, heaped high as Mount Meru, all wondrous offerings in spectacular array I offer to you victorious ones. With transcendent offerings, peerless and vast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strength of conviction in the Bodhisattva way, I offer and bow down to all victorious ones. Every harmful action I have done with my body, speech, and mind, overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and confusion, all these I openly lay bare before you. I lift up my heart and rejoice in all merit of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions, of solitary realizers, hearers still training and those beyond, and of all ordinary beings. You who are the bright lights of worlds in 10 directions, who have attained a Buddha's omniscience through the stages of awakening. All you who are my guides, please turn the supreme wheel of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly request you who may have actualized parinirvana, please stay with us for eons numberless as atoms of the world, for the happiness and well-being of all wanderers in samsara. Whatever slight merit I may have created by paying homage, offering, and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddha stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. So you see, these are all verses from the seven limb offering practice. So may you Buddhas now living in the worlds of 10 directions and all you gone to freedom in the past, accept my offerings. May those not yet arise and quickly perfect their minds, awakening us fully enlightened ones. May all worlds in 10 directions be entirely pure and vast. May they be filled with bodhisattvas, surrounding Buddhas gathered beneath a Bodhi tree. May as many beings as exist in 10 directions be always well and happy. May all samsaric beings live in accord with the Dharma, and may their every Dharma wish be fulfilled. Remembering my past lives in all varieties of existence, may I practice the Bodhisattva way, and thus in each cycle of death, migration, and birth, may I always abandon the householder's life. Then, following in the footsteps of all the Buddhas and perfecting the practice of a Bodhisattva, may I always act without error or compromise, with ethical conduct faultless and pure. May I teach the Dharma in the language of gods, in every language of spirits and nagas, of humans and of demons, and in the voice of every form of being. May I be gentle-minded, cultivating the six paramitas, and never forget bodhicitta. May I completely cleanse without omission every negativity and all that obscures this awakening mind. May I traverse all my lives in the world free of karma, afflictions, and interfering forces, just as the lotus blossom is undisturbed by the water's wave, just as the sun and the moon move unhindered through the sky. May I ease the suffering in the lower realms and in the many directions and dimensions of the universe. May I guide all wanderers in samsara to the pure bliss of awakening and be of worldly benefit to them as well. May I practice constantly for eons to come, perfecting the activities of awakening, acting in harmony with the various dispositions of beings, showing the ways of a bodhisattva. May I always have the friendship of those whose path is like mine, and with body, words, and also mind, may we practice together the same aspirations and activities. May I always meet a spiritual mentor and never displease that excellent friend who deeply wishes to help me and expertly teaches the Bodhisattva way. May I always directly see the Buddha's masters encircled by Bodhisattvas, and without pause or discouragement for eons to come, may I make extensive offerings to them. May I hold within me the Buddha's genuine Dharma, illuminate everywhere the teachings that awaken, embody the realizations of a Bodhisattva, and practice ardently in all future eons. While circling through all the states of existence, may I become an endless treasure of good qualities, skillful means, wisdom, samadhi, and liberating stabilizations, gathering limitless, pristine wisdom and merit. On one atom, I shall see Buddha fields numberless as atoms, inconceivable Buddhas among Bodhisattvas in every field, practicing the activities of awakening, perceiving this in all direction. I dive in to an ocean of Buddha fields, each an ocean of 3 times Buddhas in the space of a wisp of hair. So I too will practice for an ocean of eons. Thus I am continually immersed in the speech of the Buddhas, expression that reveals an ocean of qualities in one word. The completely pure eloquence of all the Buddhas, communication suited to the varied tendencies of beings, with strength of understanding a plunge into the infinite awakened speech of the Dharma, of all the Buddhas in 3 times gone to freedom, who continually turn the wheel of Dharma methods. I shall experience in one moment such vast activity of all future eons, and I will enter into all eons of the 3 times in but a fraction of a second. In one instant, I shall see all those awakened beings, past, present, and future lions among humans, and with the power of the illusion-like stabilization, I will constantly engage in the inconceivable activity. I shall manifest upon one single atom the array of pure lands, present, past, and future. Likewise, I shall enter the array of pure Buddha fields in every direction without exception. I shall enter the very presence of all my guides, those lights of this world who are yet to appear, those sequentially turning the wheels of complete awakening, those who reveal nirvana, final perfect peace. May I achieve the power of swift, magical emanation the power to lead to great vehicle through every approach, the power of always beneficial activity, the power of love pervading all realms, the power of all surpassing merit, the power of supreme knowledge, unobstructed by discrimination, and through the powers of wisdom, skillful means in samadhi may achieve the perfect power of awakening, purifying the power of all contaminated actions, crushing the power of disturbing emotions at the root, diffusing the power of interfering forces. I shall perfect the power of the Bodhisattva practice. May I purify an ocean of worlds? May I free an ocean of beings? May I clearly see an ocean of Dharma? May I realize an ocean of pristine wisdom? May I purify an ocean of activities? May I fulfill an ocean of aspirations? May I make offerings to an ocean of Buddhas? May I practice without discouragement for an ocean of eons? To awaken fully through this Bodhisattva way, I shall fulfill without exception all the diverse aspirations of the awakening practice of all Buddhas gone to freedom in the three times everywhere, in order to practice exactly as the wise one called Samantabhadra, all embracing good, the elder brother of the sons and the daughters of the Buddhas. I completely dedicate all this goodness. Likewise, may I dedicate, just as the skillful Samantabhadra, with pure body, speech, and mind, pure actions, and pure Buddha fields, I shall give rise to the aspirations of Manjushri for this Bodhisattva practice of all embracing good, to perfect these perfections without discouragement or pause in all future eons. May my pure activities be endless, my good qualities boundless, and through abiding in immeasurable activity, may I actualize infinite emanations. Limitless is the end of space. Likewise, limitless are living beings. Thus, the limitless of karma and afflictions. May our aspirations reach, be limitless as well. One may offer to the Buddhas all wealth and adornments of infinite worlds in 10 directions, and one may offer during eons numberless as atoms of the world, even the greatest happiness of gods and humans. But whoever hears this extraordinary aspiration and longing for highest awakening gives rise to faith just once, creates far more precious merit. Those who make this heartfelt aspiration for the Bodhisattva way will be free of all lower rebels, free of harmful companions, and will quickly see Amitabh, infinite light. And even in this very human life, they will be nourished by happiness and have all conducive circumstances. Without waiting long, they will become like Samanta Bhadra himself. Those who give voice to this extraordinary aspiration will quickly and completely purify the five boundless harmful actions created under the power of ignorance. Blessed with supreme knowledge, excellent body, family, attributes, and appearance, they will be invisible to vast interfering forces and misleading teachers. And all the three worlds will make offerings. Going quickly to the noble Bodhi tree and sitting there to benefit sentient beings, subduing all interfering forces, they will fully awaken and turn the great wheel of Dharma. Have no doubt that complete awakening is the fully ripened result, comprehended only by a Buddha, of holding in mind by teaching, reading, or reciting this aspiration of the Bodhisattva practice. In order to train just like the hero Manjushri, who knows reality as it is, and just like Samantabhadra as well, I completely dedicate all this goodness just as they did. With that dedications, which is praised as greatest by all the Buddhas gone to freedom in the three times, I too dedicate all my roots of goodness for the attainments of the Bodhisattva practice. When the moment of my death arrives, by eliminating all obscurations and directly perceiving Amitabh, may I go immediately to Sukhavati, pure land of great joy. Having gone to Sukhavati, may I actualize the meaning of these aspirations, fulfilling them all without exception for the benefit of beings for as long as this world endures. Born from an extremely beautiful superlative lotus in this joyful land, the Buddha's magnificent mandala, may I receive a prediction of my awakening directly from the Buddha Amitabha. Having received a prediction there, may I create vast benefit for beings throughout the 10 directions with a billion emanations by the power of wisdom. Through even the small virtue I have accumulated by offering this prayer or the Bodhisattva practice, may all the positive aspirations of beings be fulfilled in an instant. Through creating limitless merit by dedicating this prayer of Samantabhadra's deeds, may all beings drowning in this torrent of suffering enter the presence of Amitabha. Through this king of aspirations, which is the greatest of the sublime, helping infinite wanderers in samsara, through the accomplishment of the scripture dazzling with Samantabhadra's practice, may suffering realms be utterly emptied of all beings. May suffering realms be utterly emptied of all beings. May suffering realms be utterly emptied of all beings. Yeah. So let me do a short dedication. So this is on behalf of the people connected with the deceased. In this case, it's Subhashini, and she was a member of our center, so we're all connected with her. So let's do this dedication. So may the Dharma prosper and may the well-being of all sentient beings be ensured. May the pure Dharma abide till samsara ends, and may all the pure upholders of the Dharma in principle, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all the noble gurus, may all of them have long lives, and may all their compassionate prayers be spontaneously realized. May the bodhisattva aspirations of the supremely compassionate yogi, Kyabji Lama Thubten Zopa Rinpoche, presently displaying the form of one departed to the pure realms, be thoroughly realized. And may his unmistaken reincarnation return swiftly to guide us, and may the reincarnate continue and fulfill his various activities from the previous lives. May all those related to Subhashini, and may all those other beings who have departed, including, of course, Subhashini, may all of them swiftly obtain the exalted state of the four bodies of complete enlightenment through a swift accumulation of wisdom and merit, and a swift purification of all the transgression and negative karma. And may all those related to those who have requested this prayer and those who are still alive, may they benefit from a quick pacification of all their immediate obstacles in the form of poor health, economic difficulties, etc. And may they realize success in all their present and future activities. Okay, so thank you very much for your time and patience. And yeah, we'll stop here.
Thank you,
No
Kalden.
problem.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you, Kalden.
very enlightening